Ahoy, sexy! It is my honor and pleasure to officially welcome all of you to the Greta-thon on Coffee Nick's Movie Picks, a limited film review series celebrating and honoring the portfolio of Greta Gerwig thus far, over some delicious coffee drinks, of course. My name is Nick Delaney, and I'm your show host, coffee critic, self-proclaimed expert movie reviewer, and your guide through this Greta-thon, which is the show's first ever special limited series. You're listening to the introductory episode of the series, where we'll discuss what to expect, my personal relationship with Greta's films, and why I'm doing this. So please, take a seat, stay a while, and let's talk birthday girl Greta Gerwig over some coffee. But first, please make sure to follow at Coffee Nick's Movie Picks on Instagram and TikTok. There you can stay up to date on new releases, which will be very frequent this month, see coffee pictures that go along with each episode, and submit Dear Coffee Nick letters. Again, that's at Coffee Nick's Movie Picks. For those of you who are listening to the show for the first time, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us. We have a lot of fun here. We go crazy. We talk about random stuff, not even related to movies or coffee, but that's okay. We just have fun. Are you having fun? I'm having fun. But in all seriousness, thank you for joining the show. Coffee Nick's Movie Picks is a show where on each episode, I, Coffee Nick, review coffee and movies side by side. I discuss my thoughts, and then I rate them using a Nick pick, a Nick mix, or a Nick nix. However, I always feel the need to mention that I encourage you to taste these drinks for yourself and experience these films for yourself, because that's how you find out how you feel about something, not listening to me. Coffee, like film, is art, and all art is subjective. So I don't think that anyone can truly know how they feel about something until they've experienced it themselves. I think review culture, oh gosh, I'm getting kind of off topic. I think review culture has kind of led people astray, because I think reviewers have tricked audiences into thinking that they just have to trust what they're saying. But I think you should question everything I say. Huh? Yeah, that's right. I might just throw a curveball at you and start lying about everything. Anyways, let's get back on topic. To everyone listening, I'm so excited and relieved to officially welcome you to the Greta-thon. This is a series that I've been planning since the show, even before the show started, and it has been such a lovely experience putting this together and planning it since then. So, like I said, on this introductory episode, I'll be explaining this series, outlining the upcoming episodes, and sharing a bit about my history with Greta's films. So, some of you might be asking, who is Greta Gerwig? That is an amazing question, and I want to get that out of the way before we go any further, because we need to know who she is before we even start any of this discussion. So, if you do not know who she is, no worries at all. This series is just as much for you as it is for everyone else, and by the end, I hope you love her work as much as I do. So, Greta Gerwig is a writer, actress, and director best known for writing and directing Lady Bird in 2017 and Barbie in 2023. Although the start of her career as a solo director is fairly recent, her history in the film medium dates all the way back to 2006, where she acted in and wrote for several indie mumblecore films, which is what she was best known for before her Lady Bird debut. With the release of Barbie, though, Greta Gerwig definitely became a household name to many. The film made over $1.45 billion at the box office as of March 2024, and aside from that, was just a viral sensation. I hope that explains who Greta Gerwig is. If you want to know more, IMDb is a wonderful resource. The next question, why now? Why am I making this series now, of all times? Well, I'm so glad you asked, because today is an extra special day in the world of Greta Gerwig, because today, August 4th, is Greta Gerwig's birthday. Woohoo! Happy birthday, Greta Gerwig. Yes. Okay. She's probably like, "Oh my gosh, thank you, Coffee Nick. I had to wish you a happy birthday, Greta." Oh gosh. I'm like Kathy Bates in Misery. And instead of a cabin, it's a podcast. And instead of that one guy who's the author, it's Greta Gerwig, who is a filmmaker. That is so funny. Okay. So happy birthday, Greta Gerwig. I also wrote in my notes that I would sing you happy birthday, but I think that would kind of push me over the edge into Kathy Bates territory, so I won't do that. But I did think that today was just a very fitting day to start this series because this series is a celebration of Greta as an artist. So we're celebrating Greta. This is what we're doing. We're celebrating her because I think she is a wonderful filmmaker and she is the best filmmaker alive right now. Yeah, I said it. So I just wanted to take the time to celebrate her. Also, this is going to be a really slow month for me at work because Congress is out of session. So I'm going to have some free time, I'm thinking. But I'm also planning on moving this month. So yes and no, but maybe. All right, kind of getting into what this series is really. As I'm sure you know by now, the Greta-thon is a month where Now Showing, our film review segment, will instead be dedicated to the portfolio of Greta Gerwig exclusively. Although we won't cover every film that Gerwig's been a part of, I hope to highlight ones in which she was a major creative force, such as a starring role, or her being a writer or the director, or all of the above in some cases. In addition to reviewing her films, I really want these episodes to build an overarching narrative of who Gerwig is as a film auteur. All of these films are in conversation with one another in some way, and they communicate Gerwig as an artist. With that in mind, I'll take time in each episode to share a bit more about my insight on what this means. And I guess to talk about my personal history with Gerwig's work, I think anyone who knows me knows Greta Gerwig is my favorite director of all time, and that her work means so much to me. It has always been a goal of mine to find time early on in this show's life to recognize, discuss, and to celebrate and honor Gerwig's work in some way. A lot of guests I've had on that know me, they've even talked to me about the show and been like, "So when are you going to find an episode to talk about Lady Bird or Greta Gerwig?" Great question. So it actually won't be one episode. It's going to be 9 episodes. So yeah, a lot of people know that I've been planning this for a while and that this massive Greta thing has been happening. So I was first introduced to Greta in 2018 when I watched Lady Bird for the first time, and almost immediately I was attached to her as an artist. This will make more sense if you've seen Lady Bird, but seeing the story of a rebellious Catholic school teenager on the verge of leaving for college spoke to me like no other film had before. Obviously, at that time, I was in the same exact place as Lady Bird was. I was a Catholic school student. I was angsty or very rebellious. I did not want to be where I was, and I was very desperate to just move away and spread my wings, which I think is the tagline, or like fly home or something like that for Ladybird. I was very desperate at that time to spread my wings and just get away, go to college, and I don't know, experience life and independence. So that film really spoke to me, especially the ending. It's very heartbreaking, but also heartwarming. And it's just a very compelling ending in that it does so many things. But we're going to save all of that for another episode. But at that time, when I first watched this film, it made me feel and learn everything that I thought I needed. And what made it even more special, or what continues to make it special, is that every time I return to this film, it's always at the right time. I always leave the film with something new and I learn something or see something that I needed to see. There's just always something in this film for me, and there's so many different ways I could take it. It's just such a comfort for me in my life, this film. It continues to be the most beautiful, relatable, and compelling film that I know. From that point on, I watched Little Women and Frances Ha, both of which are masterpieces in their own regards. Yet the impact they have on me is so similar to that of Lady Bird, and they brought me the same intense emotions through their storytelling. They both have that same sort of feel and had some similar qualities that I guess I recognized in the back of my mind. So, fast forward a little bit, and at this point, it is my junior year of college, and I'm taking a class called Film and Communication, which is one of my favorite classes that I took while I was at school. And the professor is just wonderful and definitely inspired me to really pursue critical film theory. But the theme, the more specific theme of this course was friendship in film. So, for the whole semester, we learned about critical film theories and film technique using films centered around friendships like Thelma and Louise, Luca, and My Best Friend's Wedding. At the end of the semester, though, our final assignment was to find our own film that centers around friendship and analyze that. And I, of course, chose Francis Ha. I will get more into Francis Ha in that episode, of course, which is the first one in the series, so you don't have to wait long for it. But writing this paper for Francis Ha was really my first sort of look into formally analyzing in an academic setting, for a grade, one of Gerwig's films. And that was really a turning point for me. And I can't wait to talk about that paper in the next episode. After the course was finished, details regarding Gerwig's upcoming Barbie movie quickly went viral and became one of the most anticipated films of all time. And in my last semester of school, Barbie was on the horizon, just a few short months away, and it was time for me to choose my senior thesis research. I had a lot of interesting ideas. One of them even centered around Puss in Boots 2. But I eventually landed on Gerwig, and thank God I did. I don't know if I could write a 30-page paper on Puss in Boots 2. But my earliest idea of the thesis was to take into account some of Gerwig's films and make meaning of the similarities across all of them. Like I said, this was kind of just an idea in the back of my head where I was like, there's like some similar narrative structures or elements across these films. So I wanted to sort of dive into that for my thesis. My amazing professor at the time, Dr. Michaela Meyer, informed me that what I actually wanted to do was called an auteur study, which at that time I've never heard of. But from that point on, my thesis was born. I went from being a diehard Ladybird fan to having my entire academic career boiling down to Greta Gerwig. It was a beautiful timeline of events, really. To talk a little bit more about my research, which I'm going to mention this throughout the entirety of this series, it was originally titled Greta Gerwig as a Film Auteur. In this research, I studied 6 films from Gerwig's portfolio and made an argument for her standing as a film auteur. For those of you who do not know what a film auteur is, it is a filmmaker who, throughout their works, leaves a unique signature that is distinctly theirs. Alfred Hitchcock is often regarded as one of the great film auteurs. Some more modern and simplified examples may be Guillermo del Toro, whose signature would be his dark fantasy themes, or Wes Anderson, who is known for like his dry dialogue and vivid color schemes. So in my research, I made this argument for Gerwig. And this definitely is an uphill argument because her solo directing career started with Lady Bird, which was released in 2017. So she's very recent. It's not like she has an entire library of films under her belt. So I am really pushing hard for this argument. In terms of her auteur signatures, I'll talk more about what I identified across Gerwig's work throughout these episodes. But when these signatures are observed in conversation with one another, I found that they communicate a specific feminist identity in her films that I think a lot of people can relate to. And it's a very unique type of feminist identity. And I can't wait to discuss that as we get going in these episodes. Before graduating, I was honored to present my research at the university's student-led academic conference known as Paideia. And after graduating, I set out with Dr. Meyer to get the paper as prepared as possible for publication. At that point, Barbie was out and already shook the world, which meant I had to address that because it was so monumental. I continued working on my research into the summer after my graduation to account for research on Barbie. And eventually, in the fall, I was even able to present my research, including Barbie, at the Organization for the Study of Communication, Language, and Genders 2023 Academic Conference. This was a great honor because I was able to present this research alongside so many distinguished professors in feminist studies. And I was so honored that they trusted me to talk about these theories and this work. Since the conference, though, the paper is now known as It's Barbie and It's Ken Unpacking Greta Gerwig's Style as a Feminist Film Auteur. And my professor and I have continued to fine tune the paper, receiving 2 revise and submit so far. So hopefully that means publication is very close on the horizon. Basically, to sum up this long-winded tangent about my history with Gerwig, she is a director whose work has resonated with me in ways that I sometimes have a hard time of explaining, and every time I return to any of her works, I always end up finding something that I need personally. I am so grateful to have her films in my life, and I'm so grateful to her as a creative. And I'm also grateful for all of these opportunities that I've had to work with her films so far. It has been a wonderful experience, and I never thought that I would be able to engage with her films at a level like this. It has truly been such an honor. I never thought that my love for Lady Bird in 2018 would turn into something as beautiful as this. I remember at the conference specifically, after I had given my presentation on my research, someone else was presenting. She was also my age. And she came up to me and she said that she really appreciated that I researched Gerwig and that I was so passionate about Lady Bird and that it was my favorite film. And she said that it was really important to her that she tells her boyfriend about it. And she said that one of her boyfriend's favorite films is Lady Bird, but he was always kind of embarrassed that his favorite film was Lady Bird because, it felt like maybe it was just for girls. So the fact that I was presenting it, she said meant a lot to her, and she thought that it would mean a lot to her boyfriend as well. And that to me has made everything worth it. I that was just something so small, but I am so glad and I'm so appreciative that my research has been able to mean something to other people. So, and I hope it means something to you all too. But really, what I'm getting at is that Greta Gerwig's films are for everyone. I'm going to be talking a lot about feminist theories and feminist film critiques and everything. But Gerwig's films are for everyone to enjoy, and they have something to say to everyone. And especially Barbie. That's going to be a big one we talk about. Speaking of that, I'm going to be talking a lot about feminist theory here, and I feel it is important to note that I am a cisgender white man, so there are many, many, many things that I just flat out don't know and that I can't learn in books. So I am not the expert in these topics, and I do not have the final say in any of this. Like I said, it's all subjective. There are just so many things about this film that I, as a cisgender white man, will never be able to understand completely. And there are so many perspectives to these films that I will not be able to take on because of my gender. So I want to throw that out there. My main goal with this research was always to do justice to feminist theory. I was a little intimidated by it at first as I was getting into the research because I didn't think that feminist theory was something that I was allowed to engage with. But I did a lot of reading from authors like Bell Hooks, and I realized that men do have a part to play in feminism. And if some may even argue that, men engaging with feminism is essential to moving forward. And this inspired me to continue doing what I can in this research. But yes, I would like to note that all of this is coming from a cisgender white man, so there is a lot more to be discovered here, and I am very limited in my scope of this research and these films. But I promise to do my best, and if I'm not doing my best or you think I can do better, I'm always open to conversation or feedback. Another thing I'd like to note is I do not have a relationship with Greta Gerwig on a personal level. I am going to be very intentional with trying to say, I have a connection to Greta Gerwig's films and her work and basically what I've seen on the screen. But I do not know this woman. I have seen many, 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 maybe all interviews of Greta Gerwig, but I still do not know her as a person. I know her work. I would love to know her as a person. And I'm sure that, if we did, I hope we'd be like best friends. And oh my gosh, she'd be like, oh my gosh, do you want to work on my next movie with me? And I'd be like, yeah, of course I do. I'd be like, I wrote this script for you to direct. So there's that. But okay, jokes aside, I do not know this lady. We have no personal relationship. So if I ever say, I have such a connection with Greta Gerwig, blah, 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 blah. I do, but, kind of put in parentheses there, I have a connection with her films or her work because I do not want to, not that I think she's listening, but I don't want to make her uncomfortable by, having this series that's like obsessing over her. This is a celebration of her films and her work as a filmmaker. All right. Now, let's talk some details about the series itself. Like I've said, in total, there will be 9 episodes in the series, including this one, and they will all be released this month, August 2024. This means that there will be at least 2 new episodes every week. This week, there will be 3 new episodes. With that said, please follow the show's social media at Coffee Nick's Movie Picks. You will need to stay up to date on these new releases because there are so many that are happening this month. It is going to go by so fast. In total, there will be 4 full-length episodes that discuss a Gerwig film and coffee drink, 3 shorter episodes that briefly review some of Gerwig's lesser-known films, this introductory episode, and then a finale episode. I absolutely have my work cut out for me, don't I? But what about the coffee? What about the coffee? What are we doing with the coffee this month? So, coffee reviews will stay exactly the same. There isn't really any easy way to gratify coffee. Since I don't have a personal coffee bar at my house that I can make cool little drinks with or anything, maybe that will be something that comes later in the podcast life when I have the resources for that, making like coffee inspired by films and all that. But for now, it is just not, there's no real logistical way to do that. But this month, we will be having some delicious coffee tastings to help celebrate, so you can expect some great coffee this month. We're not doing any mixes or nixes, I'm pretty sure. Because Gerwig's films, the films that we're going to be pairing the coffees with, they deserve something excellent, because these are masterpiece films we're dealing with, in my opinion. So, getting into the schedule of releases, I first want to say that these are subject to change. I'm only human. And like I said, I might be moving this month, which would be a really big deal. So if this has to go a little bit into September, please forgive me. But as of now, I plan on releasing all of these episodes in August. And I also wanted to encourage all of you to follow along with these films. If you have not seen these films before, maybe you could like plan to watch the movie before the episode comes out. So here's the schedule. On August 6th, we're going to be having the episode on Frances Ha. August 8th, there's going to be a short length episode on Hannah Takes the Stairs. August 13th, a full length episode for Lady Bird. Clear your calendar that day because that episode is going to probably be 24 to 36 hours long. On August 15th, we're going to have a shorter length episode on Nights and Weekends. On August 20th, we're going to be having a full length episode on Little Women. On August 22nd, we're going to be having a shorter length episode on Mistress America. On August 27th, we're going to be having a full length episode on Barbie. And on August 29th, we are going to be having an episode very similar to this one, which will serve as the finale for the series. And there we have it. Like I said, absolutely have my work cut out for me. But I am so excited to bring this series to all of you. It is going to be so much fun. My hope is that by the end of the series, you all love Greta's work as much as I do. I want to bring this work to all of you. I want to have this be a conversation between us. Definitely, like, if you have something to say about Greta's films, let me know. DM me on Instagram, email coffeenixmoviepics@gmail.com, and I'll bring it up on the show and we can talk about it a little bit during the Dear Coffee Nick segment. I really want this to be a discussion of Greta's films, and like I said, this is going to be the key word for this series, a celebration. Because there is so much to celebrate and to talk about and to really connect with here. Like I said, Greta's films are for everyone. There is something here for everyone to enjoy and to resonate with, and I don't know, to feel a part of. I want to bring that feeling to all of you because it has done so much for me. Thank you all for tuning into this short little introductory episode of the Greta-thon on Coffee Nick's Movie Picks. Please be sure to rate the show on Apple Podcasts, follow the show's social media, and share the show with your friends. Until next time, I'll be scrambling to get these next 8 episodes done. Oh my gosh, can I do it? I don't know. That's why it's a Greta-thon. It's a marathon, but for Greta. We'll see if I can make it. Thanks again for listening to the Greta-thon on Coffee Nick's Movie Picks. Our opening theme is The Light Within, and our closing theme is When the Ash Settles, both themes by the Westerlies. Before you go, please be sure to follow the show on social media at Coffee Nick's Movie Picks, and give the show the Nick Pick by rating it 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. Thanks so much!